I want to come to something else you said. This is where you talk about Jews, women, and blacks. Let's just take a listen.
They're always coming up with, no, it's not the Jews. No, it's not women. No, it's not blacks. It's actually really complicated. No, it fucking isn't at all. Jews are running society. Women need to shut the fuck up. Blacks need to be imprisoned for the most part. And we would live in paradise. It's that simple.
Okay. Would you like to clarify what you meant there?
That's all true. That's 100% true. Everything I said in that clip is true.
Including that blacks need to be imprisoned for the most part.
Yeah. Yes.
But all of them?
No, for the most part.
What does the most part mean? What percentage of American blacks would you like to see in prison?
Whatever the percentages of the murderers. I think it's 1 in 20 black men will commit a murder in their lifetime. So maybe let's say that, 5%.
Oh, so you're talking about black people who murder people?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
But you didn't say that.
That's
you just said
problem.
Blacks need to be imprisoned for the most part. You didn't clarify that you were talking about black murderers.
Right. No, you're right. That's a good addition to that. That's a great point.
Do you think it's funny or?
I do. I think it's hilarious. I think it's totally true.
Do you think a black American would find it funny? You think that blacks should be imprisoned for the most part?
Blacks are my biggest fans. I get high fives all the time. They say, Nick Fuentes, I love your show. They agree with me. And you want to know why? Here's the difference. Black people are the most victimized by other black people. You think black people want to live in the hood and the ghetto and get shot all the time? That's what happens in the south side of Chicago. You should come here. I'll take you there. We could go to Garfield Park.
My son went to Chicago
Inglewood.
University for a year, actually, several years ago.
Yeah, that's a bubble. That's a bubble. You think you're in Chicago and Hyde Park? You don't know Chicago. Go a little bit west, see what it's like over there. And I'll tell you, black people agree with me because they're tired of it too. And maybe not most of them, but a lot of them agree with what I say about that because they know how it is. That's why the first thing they do when they make a little bit of money is they go and leave to another neighborhood.
Okay. You've also said you don't want to live near black people. Let's take a listen to this clip.
I'm a new generation of white person. I'm not living around blacks. Sorry. It's racial for me. And call me racist. Oh, very Christian of you. I don't give a fuck.
I mean, it couldn't be clearer, really, unless you want to say that's another of your jokes. But you're basically saying, yeah, I'm a racist, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
You're fine with saying you're a racist?
Totally. I think everybody's racist. I think everybody, if we're being honest, is racist.
That's fine. You're perfectly entitled in a free democratic society to stare down the barrel of his camera and tell me you're a racist. People can judge you accordingly. Many people who have assumed that you're a racist will now have heard it from your own lips. That's fine.
There you go.
That's the point. The point of this interview is to go over the things you've said, which have led people to reach conclusions about you, and to ascertain whether those conclusions are fair and reasonable or not. That's it.
Thank
so I want
you.
to play you another clip. This is what you talk about why white people are justified in being racist. Let's take a listen to this.
First, white people are every single bit justified in being racist. Every single bit justified, to the extent that that means going out of your way to avoid black people when you see them.
You stand by that?
Absolutely.
So white people should go out of their way to avoid black people when they see them?
Absolutely. They would be wise.
Why?
Because it's a lose-lose proposition. If you're Irina Zarutska and you don't walk the other way, you get stabbed to death and you die. If you're somebody else and you walk on the subway and you stand near a black person or something, maybe it's fine. It's a lose-lose proposition. So no, I think that white people have been beaten into submission, that we're afraid to tell the truth about it. And the truth is that when you go into these major cities like New York or Chicago, I believe she was in North Carolina, there is a menace, which is young, black, adolescent men. They're extremely violent. And we have been told that we have to pretend like they are every other person. We have to be colorblind to that. And we're supposed to go and be in the midst of all this danger. And I think that at this point, it's gotten out of control. You look at the BLM movement, they said that the reason that black people, are violent, or the reason there's crime, is because of police brutality, or redlining, or all these other things. They said we need to get rid of the police. We need to defund them. And a lot of cities did. A lot of cities like Chicago, for example, the police changed the rules of engagement. They don't chase them. It's not a felony if you steal a certain amount of merchandise. They won't chase them on foot. And now the city's totally up for grabs. And now, whether you're in the Gold Coast, or whether you're on the Mag Mile, or you're in the worst neighborhoods in the city, you might get shot, you might get mugged, someone might run up on you. And I tell my followers, it is better to be perceived as racist or racist and walk the other way and maybe keep your life, than to say, I'm a good anti-racist. I don't mind that this person's making me uncomfortable. Maybe he's looking a little froggy. I'm going to sit down because I'm a good person, and get stabbed, mugged, whatever. And by the way, this is a strategy. They call it the friendly stranger. There's a crew of them. They do this in Chicago. They stand outside bars, black people. They approach strangers. It's a robbery crew. And they pretend to be a friendly stranger, and then they mug them. And stupid white people say, oh, hi, yeah, nice to meet you. They grin, they laugh, they put up with the nonsense, and then they get mugged, or worse. Sometimes they get executed. And so as a white person,
how do you feel about mass shootings at school?
I think they're bad.
Who do you think commits the vast majority of the mass shootings?
I'm sure it's schools? White people.
Right. So how do you feel about that?
I think that white people do more antisocial violence. I think black people participate in more gang violence. I think that's the difference.
What's the difference to the victims?
There's no difference to the victim, but it's a different kind of crime, and it's a different proportion also. Do you know what percentage of white people are school shooters?
I know that the vast majority of mass shootings in schools in America this century were perpetrated by young white men. And I'm
what proportion?
I'm curious.
What proportion?
I'm curious whether your advice would be to people who have kids in these schools.
Is my mic working?
What
proportion?
Should they avoid white people at school? Should people with the kids at school avoid young white men at school?
No.
Okay.
Do you know what per capita means? Do you know proportionality? There are more black people proportionally that engage in violent crime or are involved in gangs, especially in these major cities, than there are white people that are school shooters compared to the entire white population. And everybody understands that.
Two-thirds of mass shootings at school perpetrated by white people.
But what proportion of white men commit school shootings? That's the question.
I've just told you. It's 60 or 65% of school shootings by white people.
You're telling me what proportion of school shootings are committed by white people. I'm saying what proportion of white people have committed school shootings. Are you playing dumb, or are you just not that smart?
What difference does that make to the children lying dead on the ground?
See, now you want to jump on the victims. The difference is you're asking, would you fear white people or black people? And that's the difference. The difference is in terms
what I'm saying to you is, by your logic, if we now have agreed that the vast majority of mass shootings in schools are committed by white people and predominantly young white men, then presumably your advice would be to avoid young white men because they perpetrate these massacres. But it won't be because they're white, right?
So are you playing dumb, or are you actually dumb?
Maybe
it's
I'm
about
dumb.
proportionality.
Maybe I'm dumb.
You are because you're, well, I don't think you are dumb. I think you're smart actually, but you're deliberately avoiding per capita. Here's the thing. First of all, you're very caught up in the labels. It's always, you're a racist, you're a misogynist.
You said you were a racist.
These words mean nothing to me. Oh, hang on. Whoa, can I respond?
You gave yourself the label.
What is this?
You said, I am a racist. I didn't give you the label. Okay. You said, Nick Fuentes, I am a racist.
Calm down. Calm down.
Did you or didn't you?
It's okay.
Did you?
Yeah.
Okay.
But
so
here's
I didn't give you the label. You did.
Why are you yelling at me?
Because you're trying to infer something that didn't happen. You said, I gave you the label of being a racist. No, you did. You said, I'm a racist. Okay. You gave yourself the label.
You're going to have to tone it down a little, all right? You're going to have to bring it down a notch and relax. This is just an interview, okay? Please calm down. All I said is you're hung up. I didn't say you gave me that. Maybe I did.
You did.
But here's what I mean. What I mean is you're just hung up on proving you're a misogynist. Okay, you're a racist. Okay, you denied the Holocaust. And I'm not about the labels,
man. You didn't deny the Holocaust.
Past that.
As I said to you, look, Nick, I just wanted to go over the stuff that everyone uses out there about you and get you to respond. And we are getting, I think, a long way in this interview.
But I will say that women are very difficult to be around.
Okay.
So there's that.
And do you think they should have the right to vote?
I do not. No, absolutely not.
They should stay at home?
Well, yeah, absolutely.
See, basically, you're just a misogynist old dinosaur, aren't you? For a young guy.
Yeah.
I mean, I know I'm the boomer. I know I'm the boomer here, but actually, you're a 27-year-old dinosaur, aren't you? Aren't you, Nick Fuentes? All women.
I am.
All women are annoying. All women grow old. They all get fat. Says the guy. Have you ever had sex?
No, absolutely not.
Wow.
Yeah, we are going back to the Stone Age. You're absolutely right. This. You're talking about empathy and your kids are empathetic and they would never laugh at a joke about the Holocaust and you're a misogynist. You're a simp yourself. You're totally henpecked. That's the problem.
Right. I think that trying to shame someone like Nick Fuentes for being racist, for being a misogynist, like that's a layup for him. He's already been accused of that, and I don't think it's very fruitful. I mean, I don't want to conflate gotcha with challenging. So I would say, by the way, if he's going after your family, Nick Fuentes, if you're watching, strongly condemn that from your audience if anything is happening out of line. But I also would say, when the guy makes a good point and says, hey, you know what, my dad's not here to defend himself. Could we move on from that? Don't do it 6 more times. But I counted 6 times, and you're not able to get to where you actually have disagreements. See, when I sat down with Nick, and I played his clips back, people could argue that it was tedious, but I would play a 1.5-minute clip, a 2-minute clip, because I wanted to show it in context. And I was able to actually lay out, we were actually able to contrast our policy, our prescription differences, where people know. And so I think if you go after, father being racist, I don't even know that you would construe his father's being racist because he doesn't like Applebee's. No one likes Applebee's. No one likes Olive Garden.
Hang on. That's not what he said. He literally told the story that his father didn't like that particular restaurant chain or others because they were known for black fare.
Sure.
Well, that's racist.
Black fare? What if people don't like black fare as far as food? What if people don't want to be somewhere where they're more likely to end up in a World Star hip hop video? This is where we get to the issue of you and him discussing per capita. Right? Let me ask you this. Like you're a Catholic. We were talking about this. You said you'd be happy to talk about it. What do you think is going to be fruitful in attacking a celibate Catholic for not getting laid?
I didn't attack him.
You're driving people into his arms.
I didn't attack him.
He said he needs to get laid.
I think he does.
That's a heresy.
I think he does. I think he's an incel.
So you advocate heresy.
I think I perfectly understand. If you're a devout Catholic, which I'm not, if you're a devout, I was brought up a Catholic and I was given spiritual guidance by Catholic nuns, and a lot of my family are very devout Catholics. I'm not particularly, but I still adhere to, broadly adhere to Catholicism, albeit there are parts of the teachings I don't agree with. So that's my position on it. But I can understand if he'd said to me, the reason I've never had sex.
Then why bring it up, Piers? Why is it relevant whether he's been laid or not? Because I said in my interview specifically, just so you know, I'll answer for everything I say. When I interviewed him, I said, I hate it when people use something that should be seen as a virtue as an attack. Out of all the views, if you view them as reprehensible, and I, by the way, strongly disagree with a lot of Nick's views, the least relevant is whether he's celibate as a devout Catholic. That's like a good thing. And so you actually give him the moral high ground. He says, hey,
had he said
my
to
dad
me,
out of it.
Yeah, but hang on, you're putting up a better defense, if I may suggest, than he did. Because had he said to me, I'm a devout Catholic, and the reason I haven't had sex is because the Catholic Church forbids that and says you should be married before you have sex. Perfectly reasonable answer. That's not what he said. He never said that at all.
So you didn't do your research, because he said that literally dozens of times.
He may have said it elsewhere. He didn't say it to me. I only asked him about that stuff because there is a view that he is what they call an incel, and that he whips up that kind of mentality, and that's why he's such a misogynist about women and so on. It's an interesting thing to ask him. He seemed to me quite happy to answer it all. He was quite emphatic in his answers. Fine. I didn't see that as an attack. I was joking about getting laid because it seems to me he's a very angry guy.
Can I jump in for a second here? Yeah. Because this is where I think this is important, right? His audience will. People out there, by the way, some who are voluntarily celibate because they're devout Christians, but also if you look at the dating pool out there, I don't think it's misogyny to say, I wouldn't date one of those young women if they were growing on my ass. And they're actually out there living in a world that's been created. They will identify you as someone who's helped create that, right? Someone who says, I don't care if the UK no longer looks white. I don't care if we lose our cultural identity. Hey, it's great, women's rights. And they're looking at their prospects. And when you say, hey, you're celibate or whatever it is, you haven't gotten laid, you're an incel. Guess what? You give him the moral high ground.
Why did you say I look like that pigeon lady from the movie Home Alone 2?
Well, because you do look like that pigeon lady, Piers. In fact, you look exactly like that pigeon lady.